My dad died when I was 6. He left a will with instructions for what he wanted me to have after he passed away. This included a keychain that my parents had bought him over 20 years ago, his dog tags from his time in the military, a bracelet he received when he became my dad, a bobblehead toy from his brother who also served in the military, a lighter that had been passed down through multiple generations of his family, and an old-school pocket watch that had also been handed down through the family. After my dad's death, my mom remarried, and now I have a half-sister who is a pre-tween and a half-brother who is in grammar school. However, my mom chose not to honor my dad's wishes. She gave my sister the keychain and wants to give my half-brother the lighter and pocket watch. I begged my mom not to, but my sister already has the keychain and she was very happy about it. I told her I didn't like that she had it, and I wanted it back because it belonged to my dad. She ignored me and said we should share it because I shared my dad with her. I explained that it wasn't my choice and my mom accused me of having a nasty attitude about it. The last couple of years have been intense because my half-sister keeps showing off the keychain and bragging about how I shared it with her. She even lost it once. I told my mom she was wrong for giving it away when my half-sister couldn't even take care of it. Last week, my half-sister was being annoying and kept bringing up the keychain and how it belonged to my dad, and I shared it with her. I told her I never shared it, and I would never share it with her or my half-brother because they are not my dad's children and he wouldn't have wanted them to have it. My half-sister argued that it should be hers because we are sisters. I got angry and told her she was not entitled to anything that belonged to my dad. And just because she had it didn't mean I wanted to be her sister. My mom was furious with me and called me a bully. I told her to leave me alone. Am I wrong? Edit. My paternal grandparents have Alzheimer's and are unable to help me. Your mom went against the instructions in the will and gave your inheritance to your half-sister, who is not related to your dad. You are not wrong. You should seek legal advice. Given your mom's actions and the strained relationship between you, have you talked to your school counselors? Some may not be helpful, but others may be able to direct you to resources to assist you with your rights. Steal your stuff back from your half-siblings and send all your dad's things to a member of your dad's family for safekeeping until you move out. Make sure you set things up with that relative ahead of time and that they understand to keep it secret. If you can't use a family member, ask a friend for help. If your mom and half-siblings accuse you of stealing from them, deny it and say that they must have lost it again. Your mother is not entitled to give away your inheritance. I was going to say steal it back too, but upon further consideration, you cannot steal what is rightfully and legally yours. Take it back and leave it with a trusted person who supports your position, away from your family. I really don't understand why parents feel that their children, who are not related to the deceased, are entitled to their belongings. I'm so sorry. Your sister is, in my opinion, trying to bond with you. She is not purposely rubbing salt in your wounds. May I offer some advice? Using anger to get what you want rarely works. If you want the keychain back, give your stepsister a reason to want to give it back. Be kind. You won't get anywhere with your mother by being angry either. A counselor may be able to help you express your feelings better so your mom understands how she betrayed your father and you. We live in a small town, and our area has only one school. The school's rules state that if you are handing out invitations at school, everyone in the class must be invited. If you want to exclude some people, then you should send the invitations in the mail. 2 months ago, my daughter had a birthday party and everyone was invited. Now, Cindy is having a pool party in 2 weeks for her birthday. Her parents sent her to school with the invitations and she handed them out before school started. Everyone in the class is invited, except for my daughter. Since the invitations were handed out before school, everyone knows that my daughter is not invited. My daughter is in 1st grade, so she is very young. She is a rule follower, and she does tell on people to the teacher often. She is learning to mind her own business, but she needs help when others do something she thinks is wrong. She is also a cautious child who will tell people not to run around the pool and other similar things. I called Cindy's mom and asked if there was a mistake since my daughter came home upset. She told me no, that my daughter was not invited because she is a bossy buzzkill and would ruin the party. I lost my temper and called her a cruel person for excluding one of her child's friends for being cautious. She hung up on me after calling me an idiot. My husband told me that I shouldn't have called, that Cindy's mom was correct about our daughter being bossy, and that this was a lesson for her. Am I the one in the wrong? They should have sent the invitations in the mail. I see why your daughter wasn't invited. Also, it may be a learned trait. When the parent walks through the door, I usually suddenly know why the child is the way they are. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You are the idiot. It would have been better for your daughter not to know she was excluded. Still, these are young, excitable kids. She probably would have found out about this party regardless of how the invites were distributed. If the other parents violated some school policy, then take it up with the school and let them handle it how they see fit. It's not your job to enforce the rules. Your husband knows how your daughter is. Even you know how your daughter is, based on your own minimizing statements. Let this be a teaching moment for your daughter. It's also not her job to enforce the rules. Okay, maybe I'm just confused, but is no one considering that the kid is in first grade? Like, she's old enough to be learning, but not everyone has social skills, especially at that age. I feel like that age is not when you start excluding kids, especially in a public shaming way. And a grown woman was criticizing a child like, what the heck? And if we consider this a learning moment, how is this a punishment that fits the crime? Ah, you don't socialize, right? And you're bossy, so let's exclude you and damage your self-esteem from a young age. I'm baffled, y'all. So disappointed in humanity. I don't care if OP didn't handle the situation properly, because if that was my child, I would be upset too. So I, a 45-year-old male, have a half-sister Alyssa who is about 350 pounds and is obese. Alyssa has been discussing getting gastric sleeve surgery for the past year or two to help her lose weight. For those who don't know, it's a surgery where they shrink the size of your stomach and you can lose up to 50% of excess body fat within a year or two of the surgery. I know it's been extremely difficult for her to lose weight, and I'm very happy that she wants to explore different methods to regain control of her life. She has finally found a doctor that she feels comfortable with and has gone in for a few consultations to learn more about the procedure. Everything seemed to be going well regarding the surgery. However, during a recent dinner with my wife and me, Alyssa explained that the surgery she wants is expensive. The doctor quoted $22,000 for the surgery, as well as some plastic surgery afterward to remove excess skin and scars. Unfortunately, she doesn't have the financial means to cover the cost. Alyssa doesn't have any savings and has been living paycheck to paycheck because she works in retail management, and the cost of living in our city is extremely high. In comparison, my wife and I work in stable fields and have 9-to-5 corporate jobs, so we are in a better financial position than Alyssa. She asked us if we could pay for her gastric sleeve surgery and the plastic surgery afterward, because she couldn't afford it, and our parents also couldn't help her financially. After speaking with my wife privately, we decided that we couldn't pay for it without changing our current lifestyle, but we would be willing to contribute $5,000 towards the procedures and take care of her pets during the recovery period. However, Alyssa has been extremely cold towards us since we told her this, and is now bad-mouthing my wife and me for not helping her have a necessary life-changing experience and prioritizing our current lifestyle over her health. I think she feels as if I am holding her back from living her life to the fullest or healthiest. My parents even suggested pulling our son, Teen, out of his private school, which costs a similar amount for a year, and using that money towards Alyssa's health. My wife immediately turned them down, stating that it would disrupt our son's education and mental health, and we will not be doing this. Now we are seen as the idiots of the family, and everyone thinks we are greedy snobs. I want my sister to get healthier, but I believe we have already offered enough financial assistance and our time if needed. Am I the idiot? Not at all. Perhaps instead of pulling our child out of his school, our parents can sell their home and rent something more affordable. They could also consider getting a home equity loan. Alternatively, Alyssa could look into getting a personal loan. Instead of complaining, she could also start taking care of her body and losing weight on her own. I am not sure what the weight cutoff is, but I do know that doctors will not perform this surgery on patients who are over a certain weight, as the risk of complications is much higher. It baffles me how entitled some people can be. Our offer was more than generous. Here's the ironic part about these types of surgeries. If the patient can lose enough weight to qualify for it, they could continue those healthy habits and lose the weight without surgical intervention. Additionally, if they are healthy enough for surgery, they are also healthy enough to lose weight without surgery. Just look at the high rates of weight regain after these procedures. It is startling, and surgery is not a cure-all. It also perpetuates an anti-fat bias. While my sister may need help, it is not financial assistance that she needs, and it is not something that her brother should be responsible for. I speak from personal experience, as I had the same surgery last year. I believe your sister is trying to manipulate you for money. I cannot compare my costs, as I'm not sure what country you are in. But what I do know is that it's highly unlikely that there's a reputable plastic surgeon in the world who would prepay for the plastic surgery up front. The $5,000 you gave her should cover 50% of her surgery, even in the USA. Any additional plastic surgery would just be a bonus. So my sister's story seems suspicious. I am a 22-year-old female and my boyfriend Tom is 27. We have been dating for a few years, but he lives far from his parents, so I have never met them before. However, we recently traveled to their city and arranged to meet them. I have a unique skin condition where a patch of skin on my scalp is white, causing half of my hair to also be white. My natural hair color is black, so unfortunately I resemble Cruella de Vil. On our way to his parents' house, Tom asked if I had a scarf, wig, or something to cover my hair. I said no, as he had never mentioned it before. And I know it is not for religious reasons. When I asked him why he wanted me to cover it, he said he didn't want his parents to see it yet. He wanted them to get to know me first before revealing something like that. I refused to cover it, and he became upset. When we arrived at his parents' house, they stared at my hair, making it an uncomfortable experience. However, they still seemed to like me. On the ride home, Tom was angry because he saw how his parents reacted, and now he believes they will never approve of our relationship. He said I should have covered my hair and everything would have been fine. So am I the one at fault here? It seems that his parents now disapprove of our relationship, according to him. I am not the one at fault, but I am dating someone who is. Tom cares more about his parents' opinions of my hair than my own feelings. This will not change unless I confront him or leave him. If I had a different skin color, would Tom have asked me to cover that up too? Take that information as you will. Also, your hair sounds amazing. Oh no, my girlfriend looks like Anna Paquin in X-Men. How will I show my face in public? Anna from Frozen also has a big white streak, so you either look like a superhero or a princess. Either way, it's pretty cool. Even if you intentionally dyed your hair that color, he still would not have the right to force you to cover it up. Everyone in my family would be jealous of your awesome hair. I was just complaining about how my gray hairs are all random, and how I wish they were solid bits so I could have some fun with bright colors. They were solid bits, so I could have some fun with bright colors. OP is not the idiot, but I agree your boyfriend is. He's being super weird over hair. I, a nearly adult male, am the youngest of 3. My older sisters are Rhea, 20, and Cleo, 19. Our dad died when I was 5 and my sisters were 7 and 8. Mom married our stepdad 13 months after Dad died. Our stepdad wanted to adopt us, but we didn't want to be adopted. So instead of the adoption, Mom and stepdad changed our last names from our dad's to our stepdad's. Mom said it would give us a family name. My stepdad couldn't have kids, so he invested a lot in my sisters and me being his kids. He really did try to be our dad too, and I know he loves us, but none of us ever wanted his name. My sisters have already changed their last names back. Cleo told them after she had her name changed for a little while. It was like 2 months ago when she told them, but she did it more than a year ago, and Rhea and I knew about it. My mom and stepdad sat me down a couple of weeks ago and told me how much it hurt my stepdad that my sisters had changed their names. Mom asked me what I was going to do, since she knows I'm not too fond of it as well. My stepdad said he'd like to think that since I was 6 when he became my dad, I'd like to keep his name in some way, like maybe hyphenating my name, or just keeping it as his. I told them I would be changing my last name back to my dad's as well, and I didn't want to hyphenate or keep my stepdad's last name. I told them I believed it should have never been changed in the first place. I don't hate my stepdad. I don't think he would have been so insistent on us being his kids and having his name if he could have kids of his own. His pushiness and the way he never took our feelings and wants into account do bother me. But I also know he's invested a lot in our lives. He paid for the best extracurricular activities, went to every parent-teacher conference since he married Mom, and spent a lot of time with us trying to just be a dad. He also spoiled us with gifts when we were kids. It's hard because I wish he could have been less focused on being a dad and more focused on having a relationship with us. I know I could at least say I truly love him, and I might have come to see him as a second dad, though he would never have been my only or main dad. But I always saw him as this pushy family member who put his own wants before ours and forced his desire to be a dad onto 3 kids who already had one they loved. When I said I was changing my name back, my stepdad left the room and my mom told me I had been pretty much a baby when he came into my life. I was 6, and he raised me for 11 years. He has always considered me his son from the very first moment. And to tell him he's not good enough to consider keeping his name makes me a selfish son. She said our lives are better because of him, and he deserves better than the way we've rejected him. Am I the idiot? You are not the idiot. Your mom is a major idiot for expecting you to feed your stepfather's ego and pass down his family name. Instead, you can thank your stepfather for always being there, but tell him you're your father's son, and will change your surname back to what it was. You can thank your stepfather for always being there. I'm not sure I'd even want to do this. He raised your father without a thought of anyone but himself and his wants. Him pushing for this without consideration for your feelings, instead of just being there, is what drove you away. And making a teenager responsible for the feelings of a grown man is ridiculous. Thanks, but no thanks. Sorry, your mom is kind of like this too, OP. I disagree. I can't quite bring myself to call your stepdad an idiot because you make it sound like he did try very, very hard to be the best stepdad he could be. He treated you all like you were his kids, spent his money on you guys freely, and he put in the work. He showed up for more in your lives than many biological living parents ever did. Your mother, on the other hand, is very, very much the idiot. She created a bounty of false narratives that hurt both you and your siblings and her husband. A little part of me hopes you understand it wasn't your stepdad's fault, so much as it was your mother's fault. She created these false narratives. She emotionally manipulated your stepfather into thinking he could be your dad. She changed your last names, and she forced you to give up your own identity.